Hello, welcome back. Today I will be reading a poem called There Will Come Soft Rains by Sara Teasdale. There will come soft rains, and the smell of the ground, and swallows calling with their shimmering sound, and frogs in the pools singing at night, and wild plum trees in tremulous white. Robins will wear their feathery fire, whistling their whims on a low fence wire, and not one will know of the war, not one will care at last when it is done. Not one would mind, neither bird nor tree, if mankind perished utterly. And spring herself, when she woke at dawn, would scarcely know that we were gone. So, as I said in our first video, it often helps us understand a poem to read it more than once. And it seems, especially with this poem, when I read it first, at the beginning, I could very well not know what the poem is about. It seems to be a poem just about beautiful nature imagery, which we see in poetry quite often. But by the end, we get the idea, oh, this is a poem imagining a world after war, perhaps when there are no humans left on Earth, and how would nature react? And apparently nature's reaction would be basically a big shrug. Nature doesn't need humanity, apparently, according to this poem. So keeping that in mind and knowing that context, it invites me to read it again so I can understand the beginning when I know what the theme of the poem is. Before I jump into a reread, let me talk about a few vocabulary words that come up, and I'll share that on the classroom as well. So tremulous. Tremulous means shaking or trembling. A person is tremulous, they may be frightened, but a tree, tremulous, may just be blowing a little bit in the wind. A whim is something that you may suddenly want, right? Why did you buy that sweater? I don't know. It was just a whim. It just occurred to me and I did it. Okay? To perish is to die out or to basically disappear, to be gone. And utterly means completely. So to utterly perish, if we were entirely gone from the earth. And scarcely means hardly at all, barely, very little. Okay, so keeping that in mind, let's take a look at the poem one more time and see if it makes more sense. There will come soft rains, and the smell of the ground, and swallows calling with their shimmering sound, and frogs in the pools singing at night, and wild plum trees in tremulous white. Robins will wear their feathery fire, whistling their whims on a low fence wire, and not one will know of the war, not one will care at last when it is done. Not one would mind, neither bird nor tree, if mankind perished utterly. And spring herself, when she woke at dawn, would scarcely know that we were gone. So that should leave you something to meditate on and think about, and how important are we in the relationship to nature? How important is nature and its relationship to us? There are a few things you might find as you read this poem. Can you find some personification in there? I think you probably can. And you may also notice with the rhyme scheme, ground, sound, night, white. Oftentimes you can hear the end of a line kind of dropping, right? But in one of the lines, and not one will know of the war, not one will care at last when it is done. We see an effect that's called enjambment. In enjambment, a line starts at the beginning of, or starts at the end of one line and flows into the next without a pause. And that kind of breaks up the rhythm a little bit. The rhyme is there, but it doesn't announce itself as strongly. That's often considered a great device to use in poetry as well. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again next time.